Hello? Yes, this is. That's right, you contracted us to do the official Earth Alliance history video. No, sir, there's no problem. It's just. We're really grateful for the opportunity and we want to make sure we deliver what you're looking for, but I'm not sure the entire script was delivered to us. Okay, I see. Are there other videos I should be directing the audience to reference? No, sir, I wasn't trying to imply anything. Just. Yes, sir. I understand. I assure you we will deliver what you have requested according to your specifications. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your prick. Okay. We're basically doing this using every fifth page out of the history book, then. I can make this work. God help me, I hate government contracts. Hello everyone, my name is Garvin, and I read things and ramble about them on the internet for your entertainment. Today on Special Assignment, we are going to cover the new official history of the Earth Alliance. This video was selected not just by the Ministry of Truth, but by my ever-wise patrons. And if you'd like to vote in what content I cover in the future, feel free to join us at the Patreon below for as little as $1 a month. There are polls up right now for you to vote in. That said, let's turn to the official history of the Earth Alliance.
The following video has been approved for release and distribution by the Ministry of Truth. The factual content of this video has been verified, and alterations or edits are illegal as per the martial law decree of President Clark. This video is an educational video in a series for the teaching of the truthful and correct history of the Earth Alliance, and the human species. If you encounter individuals, materials that deviate from these essential facts and truths, please contact the Night Watch and do your part to protect our people and our planet from dangerous influences. Thank you.
The story of the Earth Alliance begins in the 21st century. A century that was incredibly fast and that they all wished would slow down, but it never really did. It saw the first moon bases laid down, the breakout of the Chilean War, which ended with the military occupation of Antarctica, the first man landing on Mars by the Ares 1 mission in 2057, followed up by several successive missions until 2072, when the failure of the braking system of the Ares 13 mission led to the deaths of all 7 crew members. This led to Mars missions being halted until the 22nd century. But the pivotal moment is in 2080, when the Indonesian consortium attempted to annex several nations on the Pacific Rim. This led to hostilities with India, and Pakistan and the Islamic bloc would join in support of Indonesia, which led to the start of World War III. The so-called Western powers, the dominant political economic bloc of the time, was drawn into the war by Australia's involvement, which was motivated by fears of Indonesian expansionism. The war ended in 2084, the Western powers and their allies, being victorious, founded the Earth Alliance in Geneva, Switzerland. The newly created Earth Alliance would be a multi-tiered democratic federal republic. The power was divided between the Senate, who were regionally elected representatives of the member states of the alliance. There was also the office of the president, who was elected by the population of the Earth Alliance at large. And there was the judicial branch, filled with judges appointed by the president and approved by the Senate. These judges would also appoint ombudsmen to various outlying districts. The courts would mostly serve to oversee disputes between member states, with the highest court being the Senate Appeal Board. As humanity moved into the 22nd century, the Earth Alliance attempted to turn people's attention to not just rebuilding from World War III, but to the expansion of humanity's presence in space. restarting Martian manned missions in 2101 with great fanfare. However, this would be somewhat derailed by the discoveries made in 2110, where a scientific journal published the results of several experiments proving the development of what we would call telepathic or psychic powers. There was significant disbelief at first, but the results were repeatable and provable. Public hearings led by the North American Senator Lee Crawford would spread these results and the implications of this far and wide. This led to a growing public panic, which unfortunately devolved into mass violence against telepaths, mass murders, pogroms, and worse, despite the best efforts of government forces. In 2116, Senator Crawford established the Menosensory Regulation Authority. The MRA's authority came from the fact that we had developed a test looking for genetic markers that would identify if a person was telepathic or not. The MRA would test, monitor, regulate, and train identified telepaths. Those telepaths who refused could take a medical treatment that was developed about the same time that would suppress their telepathic abilities. This treatment was based around the injection of drugs that quickly gained the nickname of sleepers. The MRA would also establish a corps of telepathic officers to enforce the guidelines and seek out and bring in telepaths who resisted these rules. It was also meant to protect telepaths from violence from mainstream humans. 2148, the MRA had become a point of contention within the Earth Alliance. Some member states had their own national programs and preferred to keep their telepathic citizens at home, whereas the MRA required telepaths to relocate to Switzerland. Other member states didn't have a national program as such, but also allowed their telepathic citizens greater freedom and choice. And all of this would come to a head when Japan, New Zealand, Amazonia, and the Indonesian Consortium all threatened to leave the Earth Alliance if the president did not abandon her push for giving the MRA universal and sole authority. This confrontation boiled over on 2156 when 100 telepaths chose to burn themselves alive in a Mexican church rather than submit to the MRA. On April 7th, 2156, however, an event that changed everything and started a new era in human history occurred and honestly let us avoid a bullet. Far back as 2116, deep space probes and sensors had detected signs of life, but it was only on 2156 that actual first contact occurred with the race we now know as the Centauri. Some scholars claim that this contact saved the EA from exploding into civil war, especially when the Centauri revealed they also had telepaths in their own population. The Centauri would go on to claim that this was a part of the evolution of any naturally advanced race, an argument that they've used to justify their treatment of the Narn, who do not have telepaths. And this led many to rethink the wisdom of resisting the MRA's centralization of authority, since humans would need telepaths to keep the playing field level. I should also note the Centauri claimed to be rulers of the entire galaxy and that Earth was a lost colony, and both these claims, as you guys know, turned out to be basically fictions to try and gain advantages over the Earth Alliance government. However, trade agreements with the Centauri did pave the way for humanity's access to hyperspace and the secrets of jump gate technology. The need to be able to defend the human race from aliens or worse led to members of the Earth Alliance closing ranks, making agreements to accept the MRA, and basically let their disputes go. Perhaps underlining this need for greater security was the nuclear destruction of San Diego. The MRA itself would not remain unchanged. In 2160, Commander William Cargers stops an assassination attempt on President Robinson. In doing so, he reveals he's an unregistered telepath. When asked why he never turned himself in, he admitted that he believed he wouldn't be able to serve as well inside the MRA as outside of it. As a result, the MRA is reformed into the Psi Corps, which would no longer be under direct Senate control, but would function as an independent organization with an appointed director answerable only to the president. Senator Crawford stepped down from the Senate to serve as first director. He did not serve long, however, being killed in that same year by a car bomb while en route to meeting the Centauri ambassador. He was succeeded by his longtime aide, Kevin Vassett. Throughout the rest of the century, the Earth Alliance would establish off-world colonies in other systems and focus on terraforming Mars using technology gained by trade with the Centauri. Despite our newly cemented opportunity and all these opportunities in front of us, the 23rd century did not dawn without internal issues. A brief internal conflict resulted in the assassination of President Hideyoshi in 2212, for example. Despite that, the Earth Alliance continued expanding and deepening ties and trade relations with various alien powers throughout the next 2 decades, but fate was coming for us. In 2228, a Narn colony named Hylac 3 fell to an alien race that the people of Earth had little experience with, a race called the Dilgar. The Dilgar were an advanced race that were long known for their dealings with the Centauri. They discovered their homeworld sun was starting the process of going supernova and decided the logical response to this was to militarize their population to the extreme and plan to wipe out their neighbors and steal their planets. This was Plan A. Hylac 3 was Step 1. While there, the captive Narn population was cruelly experimented on and the majority of them murdered. The ones who survived would carry the physical and mental scars for the rest of their lives. In 2230, the Dilgar attacked the worlds of the Non-Aligning League, a loosely allied group of minor powers, tearing through them like a pack of werewolves going through a sorority party, honestly. The League tried to resist, but the Dilgar could pick their targets and had been planning this war for some time, and they were using weapons of mass destruction, chemical and biological. If that wasn't enough, they did not hesitate to resort to massive war crimes against defenseless populations. Within the year, entire planets such as Tyrolus, Comac 4, Hylic, and Ladtec 4 had been all virtually depopulated. Some of these planets were also brought to the brink of ecological collapse. Aware that we were looking at multi-xenocides and the possibility of the Dilgar aiming themselves at Earth, in fact, we were pretty sure they would come from us sooner or later once they had consolidated their conquest of the League, the Earth Alliance decided intervention was the only course open to them. Earth Force was a relative unknown to the alien powers of the galaxy, which led to them being underestimated by the Dilgar, who, by many accounts, believed that Earth wouldn't even involve itself in the war at all. The Dilgar were also overextended and spread out over a dozen planets, seeking to establish firm occupation on new territories as well as fend off counterattacks. Earth's force, on the other hand, had the advantage of surprise, intelligence from the League and other observers, and as such were able to mass at a time and place of their choosing, ensuring absolute local supremacy in numbers and firepower. So, when the fleet did come down on the Dilgar, it was like the hammer of an angry god of justice. For 2 years, the combined forces of the League and Earth brawled with Dilgar until in 2232 the Dilgar fleet was shattered forever in the Battle of Balos, where Earth troopers also uncovered staggering mountains of evidence of crimes against sapiens. The sheer amount and depravity of those crimes were so great that the Allies decided that the Dilgar simply couldn't be allowed access to space. We weren't going to genocide them because that's not something we do, but we weren't going to let them live in the void with the rest of us. So their stockpiles of Quantum 40, the mineral that makes jump gate construction possible, was seized, and the League awarded that to Earth as kind of a reward for their intervention. And all the Dilgar were exiled to their homeworld, and the gates sealed. This, unfortunately, led to their extinction, as no one was aware of the Dilgar's issue with their sun going supernova. And in all honesty, most of the League couldn't be bothered to care about the race that had just finished murdering billions of them. The next decade was something of a golden age. The Earth Alliance was now regarded as a major power, with the League seeing Earth as its main protector and benefactor, and Earth reaping economic and diplomatic benefits from that. In 2245, the expanding sphere of Earth influence led to the government of the time to make the mistake of reaching out to the Minbari, a mysterious, isolationist alien race of great age and power. First contact was a disaster, and the Minbari, who were provoked by the death of their leader in that contact, declared war on the Earth Alliance. Within days, over half a dozen Earth Force bases had been wiped out with no survivors. As the war progressed, with Earth Force ships unable to even target Minbari ships due to their stealth technology, only the Minbari's focus on hitting military targets prevented the death count from hitting millions. Usually this would be reassuring, but the fact that the Minbari refused all efforts at peace talks, refusing to even respond to offers of outright surrenders, did not comfort anybody. Now, there was one attempt at a peace settlement that ended up being attacked by an unknown power. Both sides would blame each other, and to this day, we're not sure if it was a rogue Minbari faction, a rogue Earth Force faction, or some alien force. But the Minbari, believing that this was more duplicity from Earth, increased the savagery of the war, and hundreds of thousands of soldiers, marines, and sailors would die as a result. The few victories we won were by tactical brilliance, such as displayed by the crew of the Hyperion when they destroyed the Black Star using nuclear mines. The final battle came in 2248. The fleet had been beaten all the way back to Earth. Every other alien race had abandoned us to our fate, despite Earth Force's own efforts back in the 2230s. EarthGov broadcasted an offer of unconditional surrender as long as the Minbari would just stop killing us. But there was no response. This led many to believe the worst, that the Minbari intended to render us defenseless and then kill us all like livestock in a pen. Efforts were made to evacuate the population to neutral space, and every armed ship left was brought in to defend Earth. The Battle of the Line would have 20,000 men and women against the might of the Minbari fleet. They fought bravely, and just at that point of ultimate darkness, when the fleet of the Line seemed all but broken, the Minbari contacted Earth and offered their surrender, ending the war. In the time since the war, we have been able to rebuild the fleet and most of what we've lost. Thankfully, most of the civilian infrastructure was undamaged, so rebuilding was able to be done fairly quickly. In addition, EarthGov pursued the Babylon Project, creating a vast space station in neutral space that would serve as a diplomatic station and neutral port between all alien races and governments, hopefully preventing such a war from ever occurring again. Unfortunately, Babylon's 1, 2, and 3 were destroyed through terrorist action, and Babylon 4 disappeared without a trace. But in 2257, Babylon 5 came online, and, well, everything after that is current events. So, let me just say thank you for listening. This has been the official history of the Earth Alliance, as approved by the Ministry of Truth. Hello everyone, as you might have noticed, this video is a bit of an experiment. I wrote this video to have a certain in-universe feel for Babylon 5. As part of that, the language that I used was deliberately chosen to suggest certain conclusions, and I do want to suggest you read the sources listed below and watch the series itself before you make any judgments. I really do recommend Babylon 5. It's one of my favorite science fiction series ever. Let me know your feelings in the comments. Did this detract from the video for you? Did it add to the experience? I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts. And if you found this video informative and entertaining, please leave a like or even subscribe if you'd like to see more. All of those help me in my eternal struggle against the dread Lord algorithm. Terror be on his name. Special thanks also goes to Big Steve, my biggest supporter. Join me next week for the unofficial history of the Earth Alliance from Babylon 5. Until then, take care of yourselves, each other, and of course, keep reading.